The accessibility of porn is undeniable. You do not have to go searching for it. It will find you out. It knows where you live. It reads your mind.
Much of human civilization is driven by sex. I mean, there was a time we didn't have easily accessible porn.
What you've done is you're like a little kid who snuck into his father's bedroom and opened his wallet and stole a brand new $20 bill out when, in truth, he had got that for you to give to you as a gift in the morning. And so you've taken something that was good and made it bad.
I'm just not buying into it, Easy. I'm not buying into what you're saying because I've tried too long to try to give this up, and I just can't give it up. I've tried.
Yeah.
Where does that person go right now who's saying that, listening to this, and is 40 minutes in and is just saying, guys, you have not hit me?
Stop believing the lie that you can't. And let me prove to you that you can. If you go 6 months without looking at pornography, you will get. Today, we are talking about, what do you know? A bold biblical battle plan against pornography. Boy, that word just can change the atmosphere in a room.
Yeah, no kidding. It was like,
it is destroying the world.
And your book is just so timely. Flight Like a Man. It's just such a great book.
Flight like a can, whatever, something like that. We'll talk about the book because it ties into this as well.
On my flight home from Switzerland back to the U.S., I got to read Bite Like a Man. One of the things that I really appreciated is that before you even get into fight against pornography, against lust, you spend a great deal of time focusing on biblical manhood. You do a great job of describing manhood as a fight for virtue. When it comes to talking about fighting for purity, why is it helpful and important to start with the biblical definition of manhood?
Scripture calls us to equip ourselves like men and to stand up and walk in true manliness and manhood. And today, in our culture, there's been a twisting of what manhood really is. What is a man? I mean, to watch a Supreme Court nominee could not give the definition of a woman. Houston, we've got far more than just a problem. We have a catastrophe. When we understand what men do, when you look at the biblical model of manhood, you see that men fight. Obviously, men will fight physically to protect others and stand up for those that are weaker, but they also fight on other levels. They fight for their family. They fight for the example that they set for their children. They fight for the glory of God. They fight for the integrity of the gospel. This is something that men need to face instead of run away from, because that's what's happening. It's like either a sense of defeat, or it's a sense of this is too pleasurable, or it's a sense of nobody will understand me.
We need to be careful with that. When you begin to think that nobody understands what I'm going through, nobody understands the fight that I'm in, that's not the case. I actually was reading a statistic earlier in the day that said between the ages of 12 and 17, 93% of boys have viewed pornography and are regular watchers of pornography. 93%. You do not need to go looking for pornography. It will come finding you.
There are some young men that have never ventured into that arena. I'd love for you to speak to the fact that if they allow themselves to start, it will be the worst decision they ever make in their life, and that they can't handle it.
My advice to them would be to get the book Bright Like a Man.
Bright Like a Man.
Easy.
Oh, boy.
It's a great book. Yeah, we've got to take to heart the words of Jesus. He that serves sin is a slave of sin. And of all the things that can enslave you, it's the sin of pornography, looking with lust in your heart. I was just thinking this morning, the average Christian that loves the Lord doesn't desire other women. There's something in me that wants to serve God with all my heart, but there's also something in me that's terribly wicked. And that's what lust seeks to unlock, that wickedness of the human heart. And you've got to stop. You've got to get on yourself the feet of Joseph. Joseph didn't wait to resist temptation. He ran. And that's what you got to do with pornography. And the problem is that you take your phone with you when you run. It's such a temptation for this generation. And the only answer is the fear of God. To get in your heart and soul, the eye of the Lord is in every place, beholding the evil and the good. And so when you lust after a woman, you commit adultery with her in your heart, in God's eyes. That's how serious it is. And lust is always a bedfellow of death. The wages of sin is death. If you can remember that, when you're embracing lust, you're embracing death. You're embracing damnation. You're giving up your very soul for that pleasure, and it's not worth the pain.
I was thinking back, there's something that you say in the book, Fight Like a Can of Spam.
Oscar was holding on to that one for a long time.
There's something, you say something, which I'm going to quote in just a second, but it reminded me, I grew up in a secularized upbringing, meaning there was no Bible in my home. We never went to church, even on like the Christmases, the Mother's Days, the Easters. There was just none of that. Like a moral and ethical framework was not taught to me. In other words, like the idea of saving yourself to marriage was a foreign concept to me, all growing up. And I suffered consequences because I indulged at a very young age. But when I became a Christian, and this is pre-Christian really leading up to it, was like he was some sort of cosmic buzzkill. Why is he going to hold back good things from us?
Yeah.
And of course, that's just such a distorted view. But the unfortunate reality is I think there's many Christians that probably have that view as well, where it's like, oh, like I gotta not look at pornography. I gotta keep myself pure, and it just feels like God is holding me back from something amazing. And I love that you point out that that's not the case. You say in the book, notice the Lord didn't tell Adam and Eve that they could only eat at a certain time or only a limited amount of food at a given intervals, or that they were only permitted to eat from a select specific days. He didn't crack open the door of permissiveness. He blew it off the hinges when he said of every and freely. God didn't just give, but he gave in a lavish abundance, providing for his dust-framed handiwork an overflowing supply of riches from his divinely generous heart, a heart bursting with perfect and unquenchable love for them. I love that.
We have that saying that, you can't prevent a bird from flying over your head, but you can prevent them from making a nest in your hair. I think that kind of ties into your nope principle.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe you can address that.
NOPE, not one peek even. Not one peek even.
I've been saying peep.
I've been peeping. It's the peep too.
Yeah,
Not peep.
You've been saying peep?
So
Yeah.
we've been on a wrong. Oh dear.
I've been
No,
telling
it hasn't
people
helped
don't
you
pee.
guys then. I've shared it with several men, and I've had many men say to me that this has like changed my life. Like because you say it out loud, which commits you, and nope has an attitude with it, as opposed to no. If someone says, hey, can you do this for me? And you go, nope. It's like, whoa.
It's like saying to the wicked, deceitful human heart that says, "Oh, just look at that lady because has she got a mustache?"
Right.
Curiosity.
I talk about that in the book too. Yeah. So, but then why nope? Why not one peek even? And everyone's different. Some men are married, some others aren't, whatever. But for me as a married man, I talk about that in the book too. It's attached to something. So I say nope, not one peek even. Why? It's because of what I love. I love my Lord. I love my lady. I love my lineage, my children, grandchildren, those that went before me, those after me. I love his lambs, God's people, and I love the lost, those that I'm to be a witness to.
That's lovely.
So because I love all of those, nope, not one peek even. Not with my physical eye, not with my mind's eye. And as you begin to distance yourself from those things, the more you grow in holiness and purity and strength to resist.
I'm going to talk to our graphic artist and see if he will create a wallpaper with a Bible verse on it, so you can put it on your iPhone. It's the first thing you see. If your right eye causes you to sin, pluck it out and cast it.
Oh, that's good, Ray.
And that comes directly after whoever looks upon a woman to lust after. Matthew 5:29, that other verse is 28. And Jesus is saying, your right eye, your best eye, and you think about, we've all got best eyes, we've got best hands. Try throwing with your left hand. It's horrible if you're right-handed. It just doesn't work.
Wow.
He's saying if your right eye causes you to sin, pluck it out. And then he says, cast it from you. Don't put it down where you can pick it up and slip it back in the slough. Cast it from you, for it's better to enter heaven without an eye than go to hell with both your eyes.
Wow.
And then he brings out where the worm never dies and the fire is never quenched. That should put the fear of God. So if we get a wallpaper created, we make free of charge along with your book. That might be good to have on your phone because you've got to go through that gate to get to your phone.
I'm just not buying into it, Easy. I'm not buying into what you're saying because I've tried too long to try to give this up and I just can't give it up. I've tried.
Yeah.
Where does that person go right now who's saying that, listening to this, and is 40 minutes in and is just saying, guys, you have not hit me?
Stop believing the lie that you can't. And let me prove to you that you can. If you go 6 months without looking at pornography, you will get $100 million. Those of you listening right now, men that have been saying for ages that, oh, I can't stop, you know for certain, without the shadow of a doubt, you will do whatever it takes to not go search out pornography.
You would throw your phone in the trash.
For that 100 million. You'll do whatever. Let me take it in another direction.
This is good.
Every time you look at pornography, you lose a body part. Click. Oh, there goes my ear. Oh, bye-bye, nose. I really loved you. There goes an eyeball. Oops, there goes my right arm, my left arm, my right leg. Are you kidding me? If you knew every time you click on pornography, you lose a body part, you know, well, everyone's going to know what you've been doing, first of all.
Everyone's gonna be like, man, he's really been struggling.
But you know, you're just a head left. You know, you would stop looking at pornography. So don't say you can't, because it's calling God a liar if you claim to be a believer, because he said he's given you his spirit, and the fruit of his spirit is self-control. It's not that you can't, it's that you won't. And until you recognize that you can, you won't.
This video is part of the Living Waters podcast. To watch full episodes and explore more content that equips you in your faith, visit livingwaters.tv. You can listen to the full episode titled on the screen for free on all major podcast platforms.